Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I'm finally able to bring you this review on the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Pennywise from It Chapter 2. And I want to say a big thank you to Justin from Justin's Collection for helping me get hold of one of these. He let me buy his copy. This is actually the one that Justin reviewed on his channel. I know he got his from Toys Wonderland, but Justin came through and really helped me get one of these because it's just so difficult to get one day one from Hong Kong. Very expensive, so thank you very much, Justin, for helping me get hold of one for a reasonable price. Now, he was delayed. He took a long time to come out, 2 years, or maybe just over 2 years. You guys can let me know the exact amount of time in the comments, but I gotta say, from the moment I saw the blogger pictures, I was underwhelmed, disappointed, and just a little bit broken-hearted, especially after all of the delays and how long it took for the Hot Toys company to release this figure. There's just so many little issues with it. I mean, the big elephant in the room is his head. You know, it's just not in proportion to his body the way Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise looks in both movies. You know, since this has come out and the blogger pictures were released, and since I knew this was coming to me in the post from Justin, I've been studying the hell out of both movies. Pictures, behind the scenes stuff, everything I can find. Deep internet searches trying to find as many pictures as possible. And I can tell you that Hot Toys have not delivered a movie accurate Pennywise. And I'm glad that I'm able to bring you this review now, because I've watched every single video that people have released on this figure since it was released, and it's just pretty much across the board, just ignoring all the problems. Some of them might just breeze past an issue here and there just quickly, just so they can say they mentioned it. But no, I'm going to review this figure for you. I'm going to tell you the truth. And I really like this character. I really wanted him for my horror lineup. I got, you know, a big selection of horror characters on that shelf: Ghostface, Jason, Myers, Freddy, Pennywise now, and Art the Clown, and Leatherface, Pinhead. And I had to get Pennywise to go in the lineup of iconic horror characters. But you know, I'm just going to tell you how it is, and I'll show you plenty of reference pictures as I'm discussing things. After I review this figure, after this video, I'm going to get to work on the mods that I want to do to this figure. There's at least 4 or 5 mods that I'm going to do on the piece, and I can't wait to show you them. Can't wait to do them. And so it's going to be an interesting few videos on this figure, so keep it locked. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at DeanKnight333 for plenty of little pics and behind the scenes clips and stuff like that. So once again, thank you, Justin, for helping me get hold of this, man. I really do appreciate it. And now let's get started with this review on the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Pennywise figure from It Chapter 2. Alright, so the figure arrived this morning like 8:30 AM, nice and early, so I was able to just have some breakfast, and I rewatched some more clips from both movies, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And it was only this morning that I noticed a little detail here. You see the 3 red bubbles here. Now I'll just show you, I was really worried because, like I said, this was Justin's figure that he reviewed on the channel, and I bought it from him. And on his video, these 2 red bubbles here were super close together. There was like no visible suit in between them. And I was worried about that, but when I got it out, it was the first thing I did. I took the figure out in my hand, and I tried to separate these a bit with my finger, and it worked quite nicely, and now they seem to be nicely in line. But I noticed when I was watching clips from the films, basically all the Pennywise clips in both movies. So this is the NECA It Chapter 2 Pennywise, and you can see that 3 red bubbles, they're nicely spaced out between each other, but the first one here, the bottom one, starts before or just after this kind of sash belt kind of section. When It Chapter 1 is the It Chapter 1 figure, the first red bubble here, the bottom one, was actually on the belt sash thing, so it's a completely different placement of the red bubbles from film to film. So I only noticed that this morning. I'm sure some of you out there already knew that, but it might be news to some of you. So just interesting little fact there. It Chapter 1, the first little bottom red bubble here was on the sash belt section, and then in It Chapter 2 it starts above it. So it's not such a, that was a big worry for me, because I'll show you the 2 different pictures I took. The first one up on the screen now is just a random Pennywise review on YouTube from a different collector that I took a screenshot of. And then this shot is Justin's review. So you can see I was really worried there, because I thought, oh my god, the bubbles are all over the place. I'm going to have to take them off and try and stitch them back on again. And thankfully that's not really necessary. However, I might still need to do something once I do the mod on the collar, because it's just not coming up high enough around his face. Now when it comes to his kind of ruffled collar here, don't know the exact technical name for this, so I'm just going to keep calling it a collar. I was wondering about that when I was watching other people's videos while I was waiting for the figure to arrive. I was thinking, can you kind of manipulate this, and are these all separate layers that I can maybe move up? Not really. It's they are separate, but it gets kind of more shallow. Each layer gets kind of closer to the neck as it goes up. So the most vital area that you'd really want to lift up, you can't. There's nothing you can do about that. And the collar is stitched to the suit itself. Now one of the mods I'm going to do is I'm just going to get an X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut this collar separate. I'm going to slice it away from the suit so that I can lift it up and move it around as I like. I'm never going to sell this figure because I want it for my horror collection, so I'm not worried about devaluing it. And another thing I was really hoping to see in some of those early videos, I understand obviously because people don't want to do this kind of thing, so I thought I'll just have to wait until I get it myself. I was wondering, can I get inside the suit to remove the fat suit that he's wearing? This whole sort of top section of his body has basically no movement really, because there's like this underlayering kind of fat suit under there. Now I did check, and this does seem to be Velcro. So in the mod video, I'm not going to do it yet because I just want to review the stock figure, but just to let you see that you can lift that away and it is Velcro, so you should be able to get to that fat suit, and that's one of the things I'm going to try and get rid of in the mod video. I'm going to try to sort out the collar. I'm going to do some weathering on the suit because it's really not weathered. I heard people saying that there's weathering on it. Maybe the like out of 10 like a 1. You know, it's like really subtle weathering, and you know, in both movies he's pretty, you know, disgusting looking because he's in the sewers most of the time. So I will be doing various weathering and washes in certain areas on the suit to make it look more accurate. I'm just concerned about the red bobbles once I do fix this collar section and get it lifted up higher around his sort of jawline so that you don't see his neck anymore, because it's killing the look and it's not helping the proportion of the head to the body kind of, you know, visually. It's hurting that. So I think if I can get this up around his jawline, things will improve visually, you know, because you want the movie accurate. These are high-end figures. I don't like it when people just brush over things like this and just say, oh, it doesn't matter, you should be grateful they even made it and stuff like that. It's like, no, it's an expensive piece, and we waited long enough for it, and people put faith in the company, and they put their pre-orders in and they spend their hard-earned money. You should get, you know, as they're called, movie masterpiece. It says that on the box. It really does. I'm looking at it, and it's not. These shoulder ruffly things, they're very thin and you can move them around, so that is good for articulation. If they went for kind of like a stiff material that would keep those kind of wrinkles the way they, you know, appear in the movie, you can just do that yourself depending on the pose you've put them in. You can then go in and work these yourself and even put them up high or bring them down low or try and wrinkle them more. And when I weather it and do the various washes and stuff, that should surely affect these as well. So I mean, I don't mind if they get more wrinkly looking, because I kind of want them to. But I will say, when it comes to the NECA Pennywise figures, they are fantastic, but it did take them till It Chapter 2 to get his head right when he was in just his regular Pennywise look. The Chapter 1 figures, whenever he was in this kind of monster form and he was all kind of distorted and freaky looking, that always looked good to me. But when they just had him like smiling Pennywise, you know, the It Chapter 1 NECA figures were never quite right proportion wise. But this one, I feel they got perfect. The size of the forehead, the width of it around the temple area, that's kind of like the key area you got to get right. And that's where the Hot Toys one falls short for me. I mean, I am very curious to see how his head looks to me once I do raise this collar up and we get rid of the neck. I think that's going to help quite a lot. And who knows, I mean, even maybe once I get this separated from the suit and get it up around his jawline, maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. I mean, I'll put up a bunch of, in fact, I'll just let some music play and you can just look at various stills from It Chapter 2 to see the proportions of his head, and then we'll come back to me. So as you've seen there, it's not quite right. You know, I'm not gonna hate on the figure. I mean, it is a really nice Pennywise figure, and once I do my mods, I'm sure I will feel a lot better about it. But you shouldn't have to do mods, you know, not on something this high-end, expensive, something that was in production for so long. Now, a lot of people have been saying that this could have easily been a DX figure, considering all the accessories and the beautiful base that he comes with. And I just wish they had have given him moving eyes, you know, the PERS system. I mean, I've said it before about like Batman Begins would be a perfect figure for them to implement the PERS into him, but I think if there was ever a figure, you know, Hot Toys have produced that should have had moving eyes, it's definitely Pennywise. They've slightly given him that, his left eye here, which trails off to the side sometimes, which Bill Skarsgård can actually do, and very creepy looking. They've slightly given you that, but again, they've kind of done that thing where they play it slightly safe and go for, you know, a slightly off eye, but not as much as it should be. Also, the two front teeth is kind of buck teeth. If you look in the movies, they're a little bit more kind of jagged on the ends of the teeth, a little bit more chipped, and they do appear to be pretty much perfect on the figure. So it's a little detail, but like I've said many times before, it is all the little details that come together to make something truly movie accurate and awesome. Now, he does have very good articulation in the head and neck. It's two separate pieces. So the neck can move forwards and backwards, but then you've also got the head on top, which can do all kinds of moving around. You can look down nice and far, and you can look up pretty good too. And obviously do head tilts and all that good stuff. So really good articulation in the head. No complaints there. The hair is sculpted really nicely. I haven't got any complaints with the hair. I would love to see, for example, Mr. Stephen Maurice, otherwise known as Trespass Customs on Instagram. He does really cool mods, often involving rehairs and stuff. So Mr. Maurice, if you get Pennywise, seeing as you get two head sculpts, this one and the more evil one, which we'll see in a minute, I'd love to see you, sir, tackle the rehairing and putting real hair on this. I think if you were going to Dremel off this hair, you should slightly widen, slightly heighten possibly the whole sort of forehead area, or maybe with the rerouted hair it would kind of solve itself, who knows. But that's what I'd do if I was going to do it. I would Dremel off the hair and then use epoxy or whatever and make the forehead a slight bit wider and a slight bit higher, and then do the hair myself. I don't think I'll be going that far. That's the one mod I won't be doing, probably. But very good. Great sculpt on it. So when it comes to the weathering, I mean, there isn't really any. I don't know what other folks are seeing, but there's sort of weathering here. You know, when you look at him in the movies, absolutely filthy. Like all the edges should be way darker. That's not, you know, that's not out of the realm of possibility for a company like Hot Toys. They didn't bother doing it. You know, I mean, they just put it out like this. So there's no weathering on here. Oh, what you talk? You know, I've seen people say that there is, and it's subtle, but it's there. And no, I'll have to do it myself. And that's okay, because you can kind of decide how much you want to have on there, and so that's all good. But there's no weathering on this thing, not really, not that I can really see. Incredibly subtle if it is there. No, I mean, I'm looking with my actual eyes now rather than looking through the phone screen, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, man. It's not there. Now, as much as I like the base that Hot Toys have designed for Pennywise, it is one of the best bases they've done. It's very clever, and it's impressive. You know, it's awesome. But it doesn't really work when you've got figures lined up in a row together. It just doesn't. He's massive. It's not going to work on my shelf up there, so I won't be using this base. So I'll just use a generic Hot Toys old school style base, which I actually, where are those? I ordered those like 3 weeks ago from Hong Kong, and they're still not here. I don't know. They'll turn up eventually, but yeah, it just doesn't work for a display for me, so I won't be using it. It's a shame, because it's a shame not to use something that cool. We will get a closer look at that soon and the things it can do, but just to let you see what Pennywise looks like next to a sideshow ghost face on the sideshow base, and then a modded Trick or Treat Studios Art the Clown on just a little small kind of wooden floor base, but it just doesn't work. It's yeah, that's not going to work for me, so I'll just have to use another smaller stand to put Pennywise on so that he's not towering over everyone else. And here's just a little shot of Pennywise off his base, just standing alongside these other figures to get you a little height comparison. It's not too bad. I mean, Art the Clown's still on his wooden base because I don't want to move him off there right now, but it's only a little slight bit of height. And Ghostface is not standing on a base, and neither is Pennywise. So that's how that looks. Now just trying a little pose here with some balance. He's not using anything to stand up. He is standing up quite well by himself. I definitely wouldn't trust him without a stand though, folks. He has almost gone over a few times. His feet are, you know, they're sufficient, but they're not to be trusted as far as leaving him in a pose like this unassisted by a stand. I definitely would either use the one they've given you or get yourself a smaller one, something a bit more flat to the ground that you can, you know, just hold him up with. But posability, as we've seen from the early reviews, and obviously we've seen from the blogger pictures, he's capable of doing all sorts of cool poses. So there's no real point in me grabbing the figure now and showing you all the double bend in the elbows and the double bend in the knees. The only area where there's not much articulation is this kind of torso area here, but the arms, the shoulders, butterfly joints, neck, head movement, leg movement, ankles good as well. He's got really good posability, and I am happy enough with that. But yeah, he's looking good. Not looking too bad. I really can't wait to get to the mods, folks. I see, as I'm looking at him right now, I'm seeing the potential with how the collar will look better, seeing less of his neck, and the weathering that I can't wait to do because it's just going to bring him to life even more, and other little tweaks here and there. But straight out of the box, you know, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I certainly wouldn't dissuade anyone from getting this figure because I want Hot Toys to do more horror characters, and in order for that to happen, this guy has to do well. And I think he does seem to be doing well. I think quite a lot of people pre-ordered him. And, you know, even though there are certain things about him that I don't think are totally movie accurate and could have been done better, he's still a really good piece. We'll get to the final thoughts and I'll give you my score out of 10, and I'm sure you'll think, you know, despite my problems with the figure, I've given it a fair score. So I would definitely encourage you to, if you're a horror fan, if you're a horror collector, grab Pennywise here, you know, just so hopefully we get maybe a Freddy Krueger from Hot Toys one day, because I just would love to see a head sculpt of Freddy Krueger from Hot Toys. I think it would be incredible. And obviously the other icons as well would be nice to see, but for some reason I just think Freddy Krueger would be an amazing one to do next, either from part 1, part 2. Part 2 would be my choice, just I love that look for Freddy so much. But even Dream Warriors, or, you know, one of the first 3 Freddy films, you know, JC Hong doing the sculpt and the paint, or, you know, just all those guys doing amazing work. But yeah, we'll get to it. But he looks good. He does look good, but he will look better once I'm done with him. But I shouldn't have to do that. It should have been perfect out of the box. But, you know, all I can do is give you my honest opinion, folks. But he looks good. Could be better, but he looks good. I'd really like it if maybe a third-party company did some alternative head sculpts for this piece that you could get in, like you know, the way with Black Panther, the Hot Toys Black Panther figure. You had Max Nut, who did like this triple box of 3 different head sculpts, 2 for Killmonger and 1 for Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, and that was great. And I would love to see someone like Max Nut. I'll try and send him a link to this video, or just send him a message saying please make some Pennywise heads, because it'd just be nice to have some alternative options, some more kind of crazy gnarly looking expressions like this one Necker did. You know, that would be awesome to see. And so many other choices, of course. But yeah, third-party companies out there, or if anyone's watching who knows any people from third-party companies, we could do with some alternative sculpts here for this figure. Just, you know, the ones we got are really good, but I just want a little bit more extreme. I want a bit more frightening. Alright, so we'll get a nice close-up look here at the 2 head sculpts. And the teeth on this, I've seen some folks saying that they would have preferred them to look a bit sharper. Yeah, maybe a little bit sharper would have been nice. I don't really have a problem with them though. They're protruding out from the mouth nicely. The eye here is still slightly off to the side, but not as much. And I think for this sculpt in particular, they could have had both eyes going off in their own sort of opposite directions just a little bit more. But there's no denying. I mean, look at that. That looks fantastic. In photography, I'm going to have a lot of fun with something like this. It is very good. You know, it's all personal opinion, I'm sure. You know, so many people would be perfectly happy with this, and I'm pretty much perfectly happy with this. Apart from, like I say, just the slight out of proportion forehead, the whole area just looks, you know, when you hold it like this, it doesn't look quite so bad. It is a very subtle thing, and that's why I'm sure most people will not even think about it. So each to their own, but I think that is pretty satisfactory. The eyes look nice and wet and alive. The hair is painted and sculpted really well, the way the hair transitions onto the skin. Very nicely done, but any angle, it looks good. So looking forward to having some fun with that. Now let's take a look at the regular one. And again, I mean, the nice yellowing of the teeth. And that furrowed brow. Very well done. Nice paint. It always pretty much looks like Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, no matter what angle you go for. So it is very well done on that front. Like I said in the movie, the ends of his two front teeth are a bit more jagged in the movie. It's a small detail, and probably would have been quite hard to do that, but it's one little thing that's missing. And I just really wish that we could put a stick up in this head and move those eyes independently, or you know, just, well, it would have to be independent really, wouldn't it? And then that would require taking off the back of the hair. So I guess maybe that was one of the reasons they might have maybe considered having moving eyes, but thought, well, if we do that, then we've got to have a big section of hair that comes away, and that would have been ugly. So yeah, I guess not, but so very nicely done. But like I said, just slightly off proportion wise, I think, with the forehead area, but maybe once I've sorted out that collar area and bring it up around his jawline, it will kind of fix that visually, I think. You never know. Sometimes it's something around the problem that needs fixing, or what you think is the problem, it's actually something around it that needs to be adjusted, and it will make the whole thing look better. Now I'm just going to quickly breeze through some of these accessories because it's already been shown on the internet already so much, so I don't want to bore you because I always skip those bits. But the fingers are pretty soft. You can kind of move them around a fair bit. The wounds look very wet and nasty looking. Then we have this Jack in the Box, or Pennywise in the box. In the movie, in It Chapter 1, when this pops out, he seems to be a lot more vibrant, like a lot more kind of accurate to how Pennywise, his suit actually was. So this is a lot more dark, but it's still very nice to have, and you can take him out and close the Jack in the Box or put him in. It's up to you. That's nicely done. Then we have the skateboard, which I remember from chapter 2. That's pretty nice. The blood on there is quite nicely done and wet looking. Slight rough surface on here. Not as rough as it should be really, but yeah, it's minor little nitpick. Nicely done though, nice little skateboard. And then you've got the hands. Might not show all of them, but these are the two kind of creature, monster, possibly, you know, because I always thought these were like werewolf hands because of the original miniseries with Tim Curry. There was that scene, was it like a basement of the school, if I remember? It's been a while since I've seen that one. But I swear Pennywise turned into a werewolf to scare the kid. But it's nice to have these. That's certainly going to bring out the beast in the figure. And then you've just got all these other hands. You know, you've got fists, gloves. You know, they're nicely sculpted, not really weathered or anything, but I can always get to that myself. And you've got more kind of grabby hands. You've got a pointing finger. You've got kind of relaxed-ish hands, or maybe this one's for holding the Jack in the Box. Another kind of grabby hand, and the balloon holding hand. So the little balloon, the string, which is stiff, goes through there. and another fist, and then the two hands that were on the figure, which are kind of relaxed sort of hands. And obviously the base, I've got the SS Georgie, which is nicely, it looks wet, but it's also that wax effect that they put on the little paper boat to get it to float. But this base, let's get a nice close-up look at this. Oh, and there's that balloon as well, which is, you know, this is, careful with this because you could break that. It's like a very strong, well, not very strong, but a stiff wire type metal possibly. But the balloon's nice, and he'll hold on to that. And we have the base. So a lovely water effect, complete with blood, and the sewer drain looks wet from the rain, and you've got the grass here, which is nicely done as well. And the It Chapter 2, I just wish it just said It rather than Chapter 2, because I mean, well, yeah, they do revisit this sewer drain thingy in the second one as well. A really cool idea was to be able to put one of these head sculpts in here in the little groove, and then when you put this back on, you get yourself there you go. Quite the creepy little scene there. See Pennywise inside peering out. Looks really good with the more kind of monster looking sculpt, because his eyes are more evil. Get that camera to focus on his eyes. There we go. So that looks really nice. And as I've seen in the blogger pictures, you can have like one of these hands kind of reaching out from here, and there's all kinds of things you can do. But I'm going to save that for the pose video. Once I've done my mods, which is definitely the next thing I want to do, then I will bring you a big pose session with photography and all kinds of cool stuff. But it's a really cool idea to be able to put either one of the heads in this space, and when the light catches his eyes, it's very creepy and very real looking. Very, very nice. What about from this angle? Woohoo, look at that. Pennywise in the base, the blood flowing towards him. He loves it. Alright, yeah, very nice base. I give the base a 10 out of 10, but I wish he came with a more kind of regular sort of size base as well, just as an option. So yeah, I'm trying to just mess around with a little squatting pose on his actual base to get him to come in line a little bit more with other 1/6 scale figures, but he's still kind of towering above them and it just looks weird. So I will have to definitely use a different base when I put him on the shelf with the rest of the lineup. But I got the more monstrous head sculpt on and those kind of werewolf hands, so we'll put them in a little pose, and then I'll probably wrap this review up and just give you my final thoughts, because I am eager today to get to work on the mods. I definitely want to see how that collar looks once I separate it from the suit and get to that fat suit underneath and try and remove it, and some other little bits and pieces. But definitely keep it locked on the channel, folks, for the future videos on this piece to see how it looks. You might want to do some of these mods yourself, who knows. I was just taking one last look visually at the Ultimate NECA Chapter 2 Pennywise figure next to the Hot Toys one. There's just so many little things. I mean, obviously the collar, that's perfect on the NECA figure, comes right up around his jawline. This one, you can't do it because it's stitched down to the suit. So I need to remove the collar ruffle from the suit. And I'm basically just gonna get my X-Acto knife and just lift up the collar with one hand and then slice around those threads to separate it. And I'll show you that in the next video. And then obviously, I mean, there is a difference in the proportions of the head there. I mean, you can just see this is a more accurate Pennywise proportioned head. I mean, it's close, but just slightly off. And yeah, the buttons, those red bubbles, there's more of a separation here, just like in the film. That's the way they should be. Mine are a lot more close together, and once I do the mod on the collar and this is lifted up, it's going to be even more evident that these need to be moved. I think they're stitched on there, so once I undo them at the back and take out the fat suit, that's when I should probably do the repositioning of these bobbles. So that's a pain in the butt. And then obviously I've got to do all the weathering, but I'm looking forward to showing you that in the next video, folks, so make sure you stick around for that one. If you hit the bell icon next to the subscription button, you'll get an email notification when I upload that new video and you won't miss it. So, final thoughts are, out of 10, I feel like giving it a 7 out of 10. It's a good figure. It's good, but it's not, to me personally, a movie masterpiece, you know, deserving of that title. Yes, the base is very well done, very well thought out, and everyone's in love with the base, but that doesn't excuse the other little inaccuracies here and there. There's just enough of them. They're all quite small, but there's enough of them that just, for those of you out there that want a movie accurate piece, it will bug you. And for those of you out there, if this kind of thing doesn't bug you and you're going to be happy with this, I'm happy for you, man. Just enjoy it. But I give this a 7.5 out of 10. I was tempted to give him an 8 out of 10 because he is really good. He does come with a good amount of accessories, and he certainly is going to look great in photography, as we've seen in some of those blogger pictures. I'm like giving him like a 7.5 out of 10, which is a good figure. You know, it's not bad, it's good, but I wouldn't say it's excellent or a masterpiece. It's slightly too many little inaccuracies for me to honestly give it that kind of score. The box, by the way, is gorgeous. I do like the box. I can't wait to have that on display behind him on the shelf. But those are my thoughts, folks. I'm eager. This probably isn't going to be my usual kind of 45-minute long in-depth review. I've just wanted to make the points I wanted to make, and now I really want to get on with the mods and show you how that looks. But he's a good figure, definitely not perfect, but give him a good sort of 7.5 out of 10. I think that's a pretty fair score for what we've got here. So try and buy him, you know, hopefully send the message to Hot Toys that we like horror figures and we want more of them. But if they don't, there's plenty of other options. Trick or Treat Studios are doing some fine work. Sideshow Collectibles are pretty steady with their horror releases. Asmus Toys have just released in Hong Kong their Evil Dead 2 Ash figure. So I've pre-ordered that and should have that here pretty soon to show you, do a review. But there's plenty of other companies out there doing good horror stuff. I mean, obviously NECA, but that's a different scale. But yeah, man, nice to see Hot Toys do something like this. I just wish they had done it a little bit better. You know, they're experts, man. They're artists, know what they're doing, and they looked at the final result, and I'm sure they could see certain things that could have been better, but they just chucked it out the way it was. And that does frustrate me slightly, but it's still a good figure, and I do recommend you get him, you know, because you can definitely get him looking good. And I haven't done the mods yet, but once I do, I'll let you know how easy they are to do, and if I advise whether you should all do them. Not all of you, obviously, but those of you that are kind of tempted, I will be honest with you and let you know if it's really kind of nerve-wracking, high-risk kind of mods, or if they're quite simple and easy to do and you've got not much to worry about. I will let you know in the next vid. But thank you for watching, and I hope you don't take offense by me just giving my honest thoughts on the piece. It's just, you know, it's my 2 cents compared to everyone else, so that's all it is. But thanks for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at DeanKnight53. I'll see you real soon with the mod video. Take it easy. Bye-bye.